When you think about Sony, if you're like me, you probably start to get a bit nostalgic. And when I start thinking about Sony exclusives and Sony systems, I get even more nostalgic, particularly when we start talking about the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2, and of course the couch co-op aspect. A lot of titles on those systems were some of the strongest couch co-op games ever made. Strangely enough, the Wipeout series didn't start as a couch co-op racer. It ended up as one, which makes this video even more interesting, because I'm going to talk about the evolution of the different versions, the impacts they had on the industry, and how much of a loud noise Wipeout 1 made when it was released on the PlayStation 1. And I didn't know at the time, I was a younger chap, but the whole thing was made in Britain, in England, in Liverpool, by a bunch of Scousers. Now it's got to be the most un-Liverpudlian game ever made, and I think that's probably what put me off the scent. It was kind of the first time I'd seen westernized ideas mixed in with Asian fonts, the colors, everything, the art, bubble art, all getting pushed into one message. It was like an amalgamation of cultures. At an artistic level, it really got my attention. You see that on an almost opposite with stuff like From, with westernized characters, but with the Japanese angle on a lot of the lore. It's a really cool idea. Incidentally, we've had the 2048 trailer playing in the background here. That's far from the first Wipeout. Let me show you the first Wipeout. This is Wipeout 1 on the PlayStation 1, and the video before was the trailer for Wipeout 2048, which came out on the Vita and of course the PlayStation 3. We'll get to all that in a second, because 2048 actually appears on the package for the Omega Collection, i.e. you have 3 potential full-blown Wipeout games on there. If you've only ever played the new Wipeout games, then this whole HUD will make perfect sense to you, and they kind of got it right first time. One of the cooler things I noticed were the weapon windows. The icons on the center of the top of the screen there straight up reminded me of the symbols the Predator has on his arm before he blows up, or that you see on his HUD when he's selecting one of his prey. You might also think, yeah, this just looks like Star Fox, but without the flying. Well, that's true. We were going through a polygon craze with a lot of video game development. It was all about 3D, and it was all about making sure the player felt immersed in big moving objects that went past fast, and the resolution and frame rates were pretty damn amazing for the time. We haven't got to the jewel in the crown, which is the soundtrack. Something clicked in me when the Prodigy was blaring out and I was going full blown over a jump. I never went back. It was a moment where I realized how cool video games could be. And that brings me up to the PS5 footage. I wanted to put those two versions next to each other. I did that deliberately. It's like eating an old Miller yogurt and someone going, here, have a creme brulee. The peepers don't quite know what's going on. And here's the crux. That version on the PlayStation 5, which we're going to be looking at for the rest of the video, is not boosted at all from the PlayStation 4 Asterisk Pro version. So that's what we're going to get to. Just quickly, whilst we're on the screen, I want to point out that we have a horizontal vertical select. I know I bring that up a lot, but it could have ruined this game. If it was a straight horizontal only, the maps wouldn't work as well. You wouldn't get that immersion. It's perfect with that down the middle vertical split, and of course the ship modeling. And look how much I have not played this game enough. Look at those padlocks. That is such an incentive. I love the way the ships look. Every single one of them looks incredible. Let me get back to that asterisk I mentioned against the PlayStation 4 Pro version of this game. It came out in 2017 along with the Pro, and it was one of the flagship titles that made you turn your attention to it because it boasted 60 frames per second. Are you ready for this? 4K, true 4K. Because I do so many of those patch reviews, I'm always looking at other people's patch reviews, and so many times have I seen, especially with that Forbidden West and Returnal, 4K in the thumbnail and in the description. Those games can't put out 4K in their performance mode. Returnal doesn't even put out 4K. 2017, we were playing a 4K 60 frame per second game on our Pros. What the hell? Can I remind you that it was also a system exclusive for the PlayStation 4 and Pro, and it probably was a system seller for me for the Pro. I was like, no brainer. If this game is running at the specs that they've said, I'm straight out slapping the money down, because I want to see instant difference in a game I loved in my childhood. And why haven't Sony plucked out one of their classics, Jak and Daxter? There may be others that I haven't thought of, and push them into the limelight and given them the lick of paint that they did with this, because I imagine it sold incredibly. And of course we got it for the month free on PSN, probably back in 1998. Let's talk about the game very quickly and why it's important as an arcade racer, and of course what you're seeing going on here. One of the most attractive aspects to it is it's got an air brake system, meaning the R2 and L2 buttons are brakes dependent on the side you want to turn in. So you've got to start thinking and really getting used to the tracks. It's almost like having two handbrake turns, and both of them together is a normal brake. You have the spins and dives and boosts on the ground, and a wealth of weaponry that just blows the mind. Mario Kart was out and selling very well. Of course, this was absolutely perfect replacement for it. Just a shame it wasn't a 4-player split screener. This is the Fury mode, so that's the third installment that we haven't spoken about in the collection, and I've put this on a lower difficulty, lower speed, and man, it's just like going at 2 miles an hour. All the other stuff is rapier. When you put this on at the lowest speed, it's like, yeah, it's like Sunday driver mode.
Rockets, missile.
Rockets. Can we actually see some split screen? Of course, and here you go. And yes, we will see a dip in resolution, and it's not actually disturbing. When you look at a game like Dirt 5 that boasts an incredible amount of resolution and frame rates when the screen gets split because of the power of that machine, and then transfer that back to 2017 and the fact that we're on a Pro, this game looked incredible. It doesn't stutter or have any huge issues when you split the screen. And there's something else they got right as well. All of the progression and AI is kept in, so you've got up to 8 different craft hurtling around with you at the same time. There's nothing worse on a racer than downtime on either screen. You know, if something happens, the other player's a lap behind us, it's a kind of embarrassing sometimes, but with this there's always something going on. It's incredible. Progression comes in the form of that ship familiarity. The more you race with a particular manufacturer, the more you'll open up in that direction. It's a great incentive, and switching out and swapping the ships and the differences in their behaviors. Unfortunately, you can't take 2 people online, to my knowledge, but that's not a huge loss. The game modes in this package are massive, and that's not even talking about its campaign on all 3 of the game modules is huge. There's so much there that the lack of online multiplayer on a split screen level is not huge. It's not like COD that if it's gone, you're screwed because there's nothing else.
Complete.
There is one final phenomenal thing that the team did as an update and for free a while ago, and it was put in VR. And this one game that PlayStation really should flagship. It's the Wipeout VR. The immersion, and of course that music, the fact that you can have an in-cockpit view, everything works. The bumps do not jar you too much, and knowing these courses like the back of your hand out of VR and then getting inside them for it is mind-blowing. I had such a good time with it. It's easily up there with Ace Combat as one of the PlayStation VR top titles. So I have been Couch Goop, and this is first in 25 of the greatest couch co-op games available on the PlayStation 4 and 5 that I'm going to go through right down to 1. Wipeout was a damn good place to start, I think, so I'll see you down there.